Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I'm gonna show you how we can write rest assured tests for the MuleSoft API. So first thing I'll show you the MuleSoft API which is deployed and I'll run in my local. And for that in this MuleSoft API I have two endpoints, so I'll write the test cases for the rest assured Java library, right? So first we need to understand what is REST assured. So REST assured is a popular Java library used to test REST APIs. And the scope you can say this tests are the deployed API via HTTP calls, get, post to verify the contract, and it will run against a live environment, right? And it validate the API correctly interacts with actual databases or backend system. So the question is why we use REST assured for MuleSoft. While Munit is a great for the developers local checks, so REST assured helps the broader quality assurance. So we can use REST assured for black box testing and Java ecosystem integration, right? So if our QA team already writes tests in Java using JUnit or any other uh, tool, so rest assured allows them to automate API tests without needing deep knowledge of, MuleSoft internal architecture, and it will help us to full stack validation as well. So let me show you. First, this is my API, SAPI employee details. So in this one, I have two endpoints. If you see here, I have get employee by ID, and the other endpoint is get employee salary by ID. So I'll write test cases for this verify employee details and verify employee salary, right? So this is the RAML part, so that is okay. So for these two endpoints, I'll write a test cases. So for what we need to do, we need to actually I have added separate projects and I have written a separate rest assured tests for these two endpoints. So what I'll do first, I'll run this in my local and then we'll show you okay how we can write the rest assured tests. So you need to understand okay the core Java basic Java functionality you need to understand so that we can write the test cases for the rest assured tests. So what I did, I have just clicked on File, New, and then Mule project, and I have deleted this the default configuration file which was added. So src main mule is now empty. So in the test Java, I have right-clicked and new, and then added the class. So I have kept the name as SAPI employee test Java. So you can see here, I have added all the required, imported all the required classes which is required to test these two endpoints. And the next thing was I have added the dependency in pom.xml. I have deleted all the other dependencies, so I have kept only the rest assured dependency. If you see here, rest assured, and then JUnit, and then com github to make us. So these three dependencies only I have added, and in this one, I'll show you okay how we can mock HTTP requester as well. So this is the class I have added SAPI employee tests, and this is the wiremockserver for mocking, and this is expected employee details response JSON. This is a expected employee salary response JSON. And this is the properties. I'll load the properties from the test resources dev common. So this is the setup method. So it will initialize before any test case run, right? So I have kept this environment as dev, And here I am reading the properties, says RC test resources, RC test resources, environment is dev, and then common properties. So this common properties I am loading. So this is SAPI protocol. I'll show you in SAPI employee details. So okay, let me show you SAPI protocol, SAPI host, SAPI port. So in employee get ID, I am using this requester, HTTP requester to invoke one public API, which is, if you see here, yeah. So this SAPI protocol, SAPI host, and SAPI port, and then path is todos/1. So this I am loading here in the SR dev common properties, and so this property is loaded. Now it is just I'm just verifying okay which host it is calling. Then wiremockserver, it is yeah, I am starting this wiremockserver on this host and 8089 port. So this is locally I am starting so that if you see here, instead of calling the actual URL, it will mock this URL for the tests, right? Now I am storing the response, yeah, this properties JSON, employee details and employee salary. So these are the two properties I have added. So this I am storing in this string and then reading this and storing expected employee details, right? And the base URI is localhost 8081. So I'll run this localhost 8081 for this SAPI employee details so that once this API is up and running, then we'll run this JUnit rest assured tests. So in this one, this is the first test cases I have written, verify employee details. So it works on given, when, and then. These three segments are there. So this stuff for is for mocking. So if you see here to do/1, right? If it matches this path and which has been given here to do, so this one with the using of stuff for it will mock this HTTP requester, this HTTP requester, and it will propagate this response, right? And the given it we can give the headers and if for the post, yeah, we can give the body. And then when this is the endpoint, when includes the endpoint of this API. So API slash employee slash one. So this is the API employee slash one. One is the employee ID. And then what would be the response? Is it will match status goes 200 and body should equal to expected details response JSON means the response should match with this one, right? Now this is for verify employee details. Again, in the same way, verify employee salary. So given, I'm not mocking anything for this one. So this will be straightforward. Given content application JSON, and then salary, API employee salary one. Then we are asserting that it should match with this status code and the body should be this. And this 404 not found test cases I have written. So here I am not passing any ID. You can see here given ID is blank and ID here I am referring this. So this is a mandatory employee ID. So this will propagate the not found error. And tier down it is for when the wiremock server I have started here. So after the end of this tests, after all class, yeah, it I am just stopping this, right? So first thing, if you see here SAPI, I'll mule rest assured. We have seen right how we can write the rest assured tests. So I have written three tests, and then in SAPI employee details, if you see here, I have dev common properties and mock common properties. So in mock, I am referring this 127 host and then 8089. So 127 host and 8089 is not it doesn't exist. Once we run this, see if you see here, I'll run with mock, right? I'll run this. So once this is running, I'll show from the postman and then we'll. So yeah, postman is open. Now we'll see if, okay, this is deployed with the mock environment, right? So it will invoke 127 in the HTTP requester. So since 127 does not exist for 8081, so it should come in on error continue, on error continue, right? So let me just send the request. So we can get the response for employee ID 1. Now we'll see the console log. If you see here, HTTP get on response, right? Failed, connection refused because it doesn't exist. But I am mocking here in SAPI employee test data for this host and port. So once we'll run from the JUnit from the rest assured, this error will not see because it will mock. It will not call actual SAPI employee details, right? So let me just okay, I'm clearing the console. Will right click and then I am running as JUnit test. So it will run three test cases which I have written. Verify employee details, verify employee salary, and 404 not found. So if you see here, three by three, all three are passed. Now we'll see the log. Yeah. So this is the log. This employee slash ID because I have not given the ID here for the 404 not found. So that's why this error is coming. Now we can't see this 127 host and 8089 port error because it mocked and it is not calling the HTTP requester. So instead of that, it is mocking the response. So if you see here, HTTP requester response is this one. So we can show you HTTP requester response and then response is where's employee response. If you see here, in the advanced tag, I have kept in the target variable the response of this HTTP requester. So it is not invoking the 127, but it is mocked, right? It is mocked using this stub for, and then this response it is propagating. If you see here, right? Status active message mocked response and enter into employee ID flow connecting to this port. If you see here, this is the one connecting to this port and host. So we can mock using this and so ideally actually if we have our API deployed into any dev environment or QA environment, so and we should have all the exact data, response data and request data, so that we can run these test cases when rest assured tests before doing this final deployment, so that it can be used as a black box testing. So and if we can and consider this rest assured runs after deployment to the QA environment to verify the API works end to end with real dependencies with real scenarios. So it will have full stack validation. So this is I have separate projects for the API, and this rest assured tests I have written in the separate projects. So we can run using Maven command as well. I'll show you using Maven command how we can run. Mm, yeah, I'll CMD. So. if you see here, I have given the base URI as localhost. We can use the base URI as uh, Cloud Hub URL as well, so that I was just showing you the mocking using this localhost URL. I'll show you the Cloud Hub based URI base URI as well. So let me run mbn. Let me first clear the console. Mbn tests d test equal to mm, class name is SAPI employee test. SAPI employee tests. SAPI employee tests. Yeah. So in that one, I have three test cases, right? Ambient tests. What unknown? Ambient tests. Okay. So yeah, I'm running ambient test d test equals to SAPI employee test, and then I'll run verify employee details. So I have written three test cases: verify employee details, verify employee salary, and not found one, right? So let me show you. Okay, I'm running only one. So one test is passed. If you can see here the log as well, 1757, 757, right? Now I'll show you for the two test cases, which starts with verify. So it will run verify employee details and employee salary. Tests run should be two tests should run. So you can see the log as well. JUnit is hosting. Two test run two, failure zero, error zero, right? Both are successful. So yeah, and now I'll run all three test cases, right? Verify. So say in SAPI employee test, there are three test cases. So all three are running and successful, right? So this I have shown you using the Maven command. Now I'll show you the Endpoint Studio, how we can run using Endpoint Studio. So base URI is runtime manager. Copy. So now let me run this. I think one test cases would be failed. Maybe because the it is running on dev environment. Okay, I think yeah, it has been deployed perfectly. So now this is running. If you see here, I'll just stop this so that we cannot confuse. So this local SAPI employee details is stopped, and I am running this mule test assured using this Cloud Hub URL, right? So all test cases are passed. So it is, if you see here the log also we can see a minute ago right? And we can just check with this one as well, maven command. So because the base URI I have given for this the Cloud Hub URL, right? So it is executing the Cloud Hub endpoint and providing the result. So now running this SAP employee test, all tests, 3 tests are passed. So this is how we can write the test assured test cases, for the MuleSoft API, and we can mock as well. We can mock HTTP. Right, and we can load the properties and we can read the properties, assert using the properties the response should be equal to, and the status code as well, body and status code. So this is how we can write the test assured. So if you want, yeah, just give it a try, and if you need any help, if you are stuck, then please comment, and then I'll definitely help you out. Yeah, thanks everyone, happy learning, bye.